Hi guys, welcome to our second session for week 2. Today we're going to go through the announcements. We're going to take a look at the week 2 assessment instructions, and then we're going to do a week 2 assessment demo. And then we're going to take a look at the week 2 assignment instructions and do a demo that will help you on your assignment, make it a little quicker. I'm going to show you how to use the layer comps. And then we will address any questions and answers, and time allowing, we're also going to take a look at some of the Muse widgets that you guys should be checking out so that you can think about those things as you're doing your mock-up for your assignment to make your website just a little more interesting, make it pop, add that user interface, and get your users involved and excited about what they're looking at. Our next lecture will be Monday at 12 p.m. Mountain Time. The week 2 assessment. For this assessment, you will create your wireframe of all of the pages in Muse using your sitemap as a reference from week 1. Then you will set up the general wireframe dimensions for your header, footer, and sidebar or special section on the website by blocking out these sections using the rectangle tool. At this point, do not add any color or graphics. If your page will have the exact same framework layout, then create it on the master page. If your website framework is laid out different than some or all of your other pages, then you will need to create a setup master pages for layouts as well. And I will show you how to do that. We will give you I will show you the rest of your wireframing when we do this demo. All of the instructions below have been demonstrated in the tutorials found in week 1's reading and tools, as well as the live session. So be sure you're checking that out on the wireframe. And please make note of this. Do not add any color or graphics. The wireframe is black and white only. And you get a lot of points deduction if you have color on there, guys. Make sure you have no color, no graphics. Your actual instructions say, create a new site using Muse. Choose fluid width and choose the number of columns you are using in your grid. 12 is recommended, and it is. 12 columns is actually what I design with on a regular basis. Adjust the gutter per your layout. The max page width should be at least 1,000 pixels. But if your design requires it to be wider, then put that number in. According to W3C statistics for 2017, the most common web size that viewers can see completely in their browser is 1,024 pixels wide by 768 pixels tall. That is the size you should be making your website, 1024 by 768. Under advanced settings, choose your minimum width and minimum height according to your design layout discussed in your creative brief for week 1. Your websites must be responsive and they must be able to be viewed on cell phones. So your minimum width is going to be 320 pixels. Minimum height, I will show you guys that when I go in and show you how to create your new site, because your minimum height kind of depends on how tall your pages are going to be. And most of the time, most of you don't have enough work to really fill all of those pages. So you're going to set your minimum height at something like 300 pixels. The page will automatically grow bigger if you need it to, but it will stop. It won't go any smaller than a certain height, which about 300 pixels usually gives you enough room that you can add and remove and the page still look good. You're going to set your margins and padding according to your design layout. that you discussed in your creative brief, and select sticky footer if your site has a footer. It's required that you have a copyright statement on all of your pages. So you're going to make sure you check mark sticky footer. When you have all your settings complete, simply click OK. In Plan View, you're going to add the pages from your sitemap and you're going to name them appropriately. On the master page, just using black, gray, white. Block out the different areas of your content, your header, your footer, your sidebar navigation area, that sort of thing. There's an example in the assessment that you can open and take a look at. As mentioned in the intro, if your site has pages that are different layout than the home page, be sure to add in a master for that layout and apply it to the appropriate pages in Plan View. You're going to save the file DS241 portfolio wireframe, your first name, your last name, .muse. Submit for grading by the due date and time. So let's hop over and work on that. The announcements, guys, remember SSC is open and learning coaches in there are there to help you. If you're struggling, go in and see one of them or make sure that you email me so that we can find some time to get together so I can help you. This should not be overly stressful. Yeah, it's going to be a little stressful. You guys are designing for yourself. I get that. But this class should also be fun and make you excited about web design because it's so simple to do in Muse. So let's hop over so we can take a look at my Muse. As a matter of fact, let me do another share on this and choose desktop so you guys can see all of my menus. Okay, this is what Muse looks like when you first open it up. You're going to click Create New. And your new box will pop up. Click on Advanced Settings so you can see everything. Make sure it says fluid width. And where it says max page width, this is where you need to change it to read at least 1024. And then you put your number of columns. The minimum width defaults to 320 already, so you can leave it there. Minimum height defaults to 500. I strongly suggest you change this so that you will be able to shorten your page if you need to. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to go any smaller than 500 pixels high, and some of you may not have the content to fit 500 pixels. So if you start at minimum height of 300, you'll have plenty of room because you can make the page as long as you want. You just can't shrink it past 300. The margins default at about 20 pixels. I usually leave it in about 20 pixels. That usually works well for me. And I don't set the padding because you can do that manually on different things. And that's the way I normally choose to do it. But if you guys want to play around with these settings, absolutely go for it. Now, you have this little box right here. This little box says whether you want to center your website within the browser. That does not mean center your content on the page. It means that your entire website will be centered in the browser window when someone's viewing it. Or you can left align it. I strongly recommend you center it. It looks really funny when you go to a web page and it's left aligned and you have all this white space on the right hand side. It always makes me feel like there's something missing. Something was supposed to be there and it's just not there. Center it, it just looks better. Again, that's not centering your content, just the entire page within the web browser. Make sure sticky footer is check marked. And then simply hit OK. This brings you into the plan view. You're going to create, basically you're recreating your sitemap. So you're going to have another page, most likely your portfolio page. And then you're going to have the about. Hit the plus sign again, you have contact. Now, as you see when you hover over these, draw a little circle there and then hover over it again. When you hover over these, that circle should have been down here. You see the little plus sign. If you need to add a child page, you simply click that bottom plus sign. And it will allow you to add your child pages if you have any. So maybe you have one that says illustrations. And then that page also has another child page called photography. And then maybe you have some more. You can just keep hitting that plus sign as often as you need to until you get all of your pages. The bottom plus sign will create a child page. And then if you have another child page for that same page, you simply click the plus sign on the child page that's on the right. And it will put another page on that same level that's a child page at the top level page. Make sense? And then if you decide you don't need a page or you made a page by accident, there is always, if you hover over those little thumbnail boxes, a little X in the top right hand corner. Just click it and it will delete those pages. Once you have all of your pages made, the first thing I want you to do is save it. Go to File, Save Site As. Guys, make a folder. Do it this week. It will make your life easier in the coming weeks. Make a folder in your documents, on your desktop, wherever, and call it DS241, and make sure inside that folder, since most of you probably already have that folder from last week, make a folder inside that folder that's called website. DS241 website, or just name the folder website will be perfectly fine. I already have a folder named website. Let's see if it'll let me put it on the desktop. And then save your website in there. And you can just call it your name. It will make it easier because you're going to use this exact same file every single week. This week it'll be a wireframe. Next week you're going to open it and you're going to replace that wireframe with your actual colors and graphics and things like that. So you will be using this Muse file the rest of the month. So just go ahead and save it as your name. It will make it easier to upload in week 4 to Business Catalyst. Your instructions tell you to name your zip file a certain way. That's fine. The files inside it do not have to be named with that convection. Just name it something simple because Business Catalyst likes simple. Once you have it saved, you're ready to start that wireframe. Your master pages, if your child pages or your inside pages, let's say your home page is going to have a different layout than the rest of your page, you're going to need 2 masters. One master for the home page, one master for your other page. Or maybe your child pages have a different layout. So you're going to need a master for your top level pages, master for your second level pages. We're going to start with master A. On your masters, now you guys are very familiar with InDesign at this point. The master pages in Muse work pretty much identically to the masters in InDesign. So the only thing you want to put on your master are the things that are going to be on every single page. You do not need a master for every single page. If you have that many different layouts, start over because it's not going to work. You shouldn't have any more than 2 layouts. 3 at most. If you're doing a landing page for your home page and then your top level pages have a design and your child pages are a little different, then you might have 3. Most of you will just have 1 or 2. And your master pages only contain the objects that are on every single page in the exact same position. So, what kind of things are going to be on every single page? What are you going to have on every page? Your logo, your navigation. Exactly, and your copyright statement and your footer. Your footer should be the same on every single page. So you know you're going to have those 2 areas. So bring this down. I'm going to make these 2 little blue lines. See these 2 little blue arrows right here? This marks your header. These little blue arrows down here mark your footer and any space below your footer. If I was to pull that second arrow down, this would mark white space below the footer. You're not going to need that, so you're going to leave them together. But if your footer needs to be taller, then you need to make sure you adjust this arrow. It should match your footer. Some of you may have a very small footer. So you're simply going to adjust it so you have that small area. It should match the content. So let's start wireframing out this page. I know I'm going to have my logo at the top. So I'm simply going to grab my square tool, fill it with black. Oops. Not the entire page. You have to draw your square first. I forgot they did this and they updated it. Okay, so you're going to mark out wherever your, there we go. Mark out wherever you're going to put your logo. If it's going to be in the center, put your logo in the center. If it's going to be on the right, put it on the right. Now, we're doing this for my actual home page, so I want to do this a little differently. I know this page has to be longer. I'm going to go ahead and make it bigger. And I'm going to have a large image across the bottom here. I'm going to go ahead and color that. I'm going to color it gray. And then I'm going to turn down the opacity so it's a very light shade of gray. Now then, my logo is going to be in the middle of my page. I'm going to turn it black. And I'm going to have a tagline and things like that on this page as well, but for the most part, it's going to be in the center of my screen. In my navigation bar, I'm going to need to mark that out as well. It's going to need to be across the screen like this. Let's go black. My navigation bar is going to be there, and then I'm going to have my footer area. So I'm going to go ahead and block that out. Like that. Black, white, and gray. That is going to be the basic setup of my landing page. Now, on my home page, you see what happened here? Uh-oh, it put that on everything. You can simply right-click and do master page B, right-click, master page B, right-click, master page B. And then I'm going to open up my home page because I have some more wireframing I need to do here. I'm going to make this a bit longer. Actually, it doesn't need to be any longer. I want to add, I'm going to mark out where I'm going to have some text. Because I am going to have some text here. It's going to be my tagline. And I'm going to go ahead and turn that gray as well. And I'm going to have some text up top. Now, you are not required to mark out all of your text area, but I would suggest if you know it's going to be important text like that of a landing page, go ahead and mark it out. It will just help you remember that you need to put something in those two areas next week. You do not actually have to label anything. If you want to write me labels on there, absolutely make a text box over it, but you don't have to label everything. For the most part, I'm going to be able to tell exactly what it is that's supposed to go there. And if I have questions about what that is, I'll ask them in the comments, but not odds are I'm going to know exactly what that is. But if you want to label them so it makes it easier for you next week, so you don't have to think about what was I going to put there, that sort of thing, absolutely add the labels. If you did not turn on sticky footer, yes, you have to put a check mark by footer. Otherwise, Muse will automatically check mark footer for you as long as you draw that object down here. Now, if I was to try and draw that footer up here, and then try to bring it down here, it's not going to check mark it. But because I drew the footer within the footer brackets, it automatically checks marks it for you. If you don't, and it's not check marked, then right up here at the top of your screen, make sure you check mark footer. If you draw it down here, it will automatically check mark it for you. I'm going to have my copy right across there. I can add a few more things here. I did not add my social media icons. To add those here. Copy and pasting in Muse takes a little bit, so be prepared. My copyright statement is not going to be near that big. Somewhere like that, probably. So that is going to be my home page. So then I'm going to close that out. And you're going to work on your master B for your next page. So now that's going to be a little different because my logo will be moving. And we'll be up here now. Color it black. Like that. And then I'm going to have my navigation. If you want to go ahead and use the widgets, you can. If you click on Widgets Library, you can go to the menus and choose whichever navigation you want and just drag it out on your screen and it will automatically populate. Then you can scale it, resize it. It's automatically gray. So it works. There's no color to it. So you can just add it there if you want to save some time next week. You see it automatically populates with your page names based off your plan view. So it makes it pretty simple. So again, I'm going to need a navigation bar over here. Now, for this navigation bar on my inner pages, things are going to be just a little bit different. It's going to have the same text, but if you click and then click again on top of a button, you can change the fill color. I don't want any fill color, and I'm going to open up my character tools, my text tools here, and I want my text in gray. It's just going to be a text link across there. So there is my header for my other pages. And then, of course, I have my footer area that has to be done again. And you see my arrows disappeared. There they go. Sometimes your arrows disappear. It's a glitch in Muse, guys. Just close that page. Just click the little X and then reopen it, and they usually reappear. Sometimes you have to do a shutdown, but most of the time it's not an issue. I'm going to have my square across here. And my copyright. And my social media icons. I'm just going to go over here and copy them so I don't have to redraw them. Maybe. And I'm going to add them down here at the bottom. That is my basic setup of everything that's going to be on every page. So I can close Master B. I'm done with Master A. And then I have my portfolio page. So now I have to map out what's going to be in here. This is my portfolio page. I actually think I'm going to do a project type grid layout. Make this a little bit bigger. I want one more on here. Select all of these. Don't quite fit, so I'm going to scale these so I know what size they should be. About right there. And then I'm going to have my project information underneath. So this is going to be text. I'm going to fill it with gray. And that's going to be simple text. That's the basic layout of my portfolio page. Now, you can do all kinds of interesting things here. Maybe change it up a little bit. This is a little boring, so maybe change it. Move some things out of the way, and maybe do your project here. And stagger them a little bit. Let's see here. This one is out of the way. And then, since I have this empty space here, maybe I'll just add a little bit of a filler text there. Some sort of famous quote that I enjoy. We'll talk more about that next week on places where you have to find some sort of filler to even it up. And definitely won't be very much emphasis on that because it's just going to be filler. So I'm going to turn the color down. But you get a much more interesting design by changing it up just a little bit. Now make sure you have a little bit of white space between your footer and whatever content is above it. So play around with this wireframe until you get something that makes you go, oh, this looks pretty cool. Because you can do all kinds of different things here. I could even go and say, okay, this is going to be my spotlight design, meaning it's going to be more important than the others because it's the best design I have. So make it bigger so it draws more attention. You see where I'm going with this? So think about those things when you're doing your wireframe, because remember, your wireframe is creating the structure for your content. Your content doesn't fit the structure. Your structure is being done for your content to fit in it, not the other way around. You're not building the structure around your content. You're going to make your content fit whatever structure you developed. Make sense? So play around with this. Be creative. Maybe some of you have already taken your package design classes, the class where you did all the branding for one company. So maybe your big one, the main focus on your portfolio page is going to be that project that contains the billboards and the promotional item that you picked, whether it was a bag, a box, a cup, whatever. The logo design you did. And so maybe this one is going to be a slideshow while the others are going to be just images that the user can click on and they get big on their screen. Or maybe you're just going to have one slideshow across here and all your project stuff listed under it that will change when your slideshow changes. There are widgets for that. So if you have not already explored the widget library, be sure you look at your compositions and your slideshows themselves. So there's quite a few in here that you can play with. We will be really demoing those next week when it comes time to start putting things in your portfolio. But for now, you can just kind of think about what you would like and then find a widget that fits that. There's, I guarantee you there is one. And we're going to take a look at some of those widgets today. I think we'll have plenty of time. So after you've done your portfolio page, you're simply going to close it And then your about page. Well, your about page isn't going to have just a whole lot on it, right? You're going to have some stuff here. Definitely going to have some text because you have to have a bio. And I would suggest that you have some sort of background on this page. I think what I'll do here, go background here. And then I'm gonna have a box here. And then I'm going to have my bio. And then some sort of graphic over here. Maybe a picture or an icon, something that screams me. Or, I don't know if I really like that circle. If I spread my bio out, make it smaller. Maybe I'll do an individual graphic just for this page. Something that definitely relates to me. Like that. And so this is going to be what my about page looks like. Most likely, I will have some sort of animated background. And then there will be a white box with a drop shadow and then the information in the middle of it. If that makes sense. So you guys can kind of follow what I'm doing there. So that's the about page. So then you have your contact page. You can do the exact same thing. You have to have a contact form. You can go ahead and open that widgets library and use the form so you don't have to try and draw one up. You can just pull out that simple contact form. It can be replaced next week if you decide to use one that you can download. For now, you need something that will basically be a placeholder that will kind of show me where you plan to have your contact form. I'm going to do a contact form there. It will probably definitely be bigger than this. Click on it. Move this over. Move this one over. Realign my button. Just to come down some. Just to come down some. Then I'm going to have some stuff over here, of course. So definitely know I'm going to have my phone number, privacy policy. Your website has to have a privacy policy on it. So make sure you leave some space or you make a child page specifically for the privacy policy. So over here, I'm going to be listing my phone number. I will probably use like a Google map to show my location or the area in which I service. My phone number, website address for my company. Since this is my personal portfolio, I would have a second, I would add another website address on here for the company website address. Otherwise, it's going to have my phone number, the area in which I service, my office hours, and most likely a Google map. And then I need a privacy policy page. So I'm just going to make a child page. And my privacy policy is going to be on this page. And it's going to be pretty simple layout because it's nothing but the privacy policy. I'm just going to grab a box and go black. And that's the privacy policy. So overall, there is my wireframe. Now, I have to make my content fit this structure. So, biggest concerns are going to be the portfolio page. So I know I'm going to have to make sure that my images are wider versus taller. They're more of a rectangle shape. Then I have the larger image. I need to make sure these images are the right sizes. Now then, if you click on these squares, you can open your transform tool right here. If it's not on your menu bar, you can go to Windows and just go down and click transform. And you can see how big those images need to be. Jot down those measurements. Now then, I would upsize just a little bit in case somebody zooms in. It will keep your image from being pixelated. So I would upsize anywhere from 50 to 100 pixels on both the width and the height. And then when you place it into Muse, you scale it down to this size. That way, if someone overrides your settings, then the picture still looks good. If you are going to use the widget that I will show you how to download next week, that's more of a gallery type layout, that means you have these little bitty thumbnails. And when the user clicks on them, the image gets big and comes to the front of the screen and kind of grays out everything behind it so that the picture is the most important thing on the page. And then when they click beside the picture, it disappears. We've all seen stuff like that. There is a widget you can download for free for that. If you're going to do that, what I suggest you do is take your Muse and decide, draw a box across the screen and say, okay, I want all of my pictures to be about this size when they click on them so that they get a really good view. There's the size you need to make that image. And again, I would upsize it 50 to 100 pixels. And that's what size all of your images for your portfolio are going to need to be, that are going to be inside that click and zoom is what it's called. It's a click and zoom filter. So you want to make them large because Muse will not scale an image past its size. It will scale a picture below its size, but it will not make a picture any bigger than its original size. So if you put a little bitty picture in there, when it's clicked on so that it zooms, it's not going to be very big. I'm sure you guys have come across websites like that. It happens all the time. I see it all the time. And I think, oh, you just didn't realize that won't scale past its biggest size. So make sure your image is big enough that when they click on it, they get a bigger image. And they're not still looking at that little bitty thumbnail on a big gray screen. Basically what that widget looks like is, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Pull out instant zoom here. This would be the little thumbnail. And you can resize this to match your square to make it as big as you want it. Put it up here. Make it match And let's add a file to it real quick. Let's see if I can find a small image, because that's the only way you guys are truly going to understand what I'm saying here. I think, no, that one's pretty big. I think this one is small. And you can choose the color you want the screen to turn when somebody views it. And you can choose whether it has an effect. You could blur it out until they roll over it. You can invert it. You can saturate it. You can do, or you can just do no effect. Just depends on that kind of feel you want. This is what happens. You're using that filter. Your users here, and that when they roll over it, their cursor automatically turns to magnifying glass to let them know they can click on it. Once they click on it, it brings it to the center of the screen, except for it's not bringing this to the center of the screen. Did I forget to check something? Nope. And we are in the front, so why aren't you working? It may be the Muse preview. Let's see if we can view it in my browser and it worked right. File, preview page in browser. Screen. Oh, it's still doing it. Guess it does not want to be in front of those squares, but you get the idea. This is what happens. So this screen is too small. Let me get rid of this so you guys can see it. If that's too small, it's going to be little bitty, and this one wasn't small like I thought it was. It's bigger than I thought it was. So this is what happens. It will scale it up, but it will not pass its original size. So you must make that image bigger in order for it to get bigger when they click on it. Otherwise, it just pulls that thumbnail to the middle of the screen. That's how that InstaZoom widget works, just so you can have an idea of what I'm talking about when I say you have to make your stuff fit the structure, not the structure fit your stuff, because it's not going to look as good. So make sure your images are the correct size that they need to be. They can be bigger, not humongously bigger, because it's just going to take your page forever to load. But they can be a bit bigger. That way, if someone's overriding your settings and they're zooming in because they're using some accessibility features, your picture doesn't look pixelated. No, Muse will not set the PPI. So that means if you place an image that's 300 PPI, it's 300 PPI, and it's going to take a while to load. So make sure your images are web ready. That means they should be somewhere between 72 PPI, no more than roughly 160 PPI, depending on the image. Most of your stuff, all of your stuff, is not going to need to be any bigger than 72 PPI. The only time you make anything bigger than that is when you've saved it at 72 and you look at it and you can see it's really got a bunch of those JPEG artifacts in it. The lines aren't as smooth as they should be. that sort of thing. Then up the PPI a little bit because that'll help with that and make it more smoother. Usually it takes a very complicated design with very fine lines and things like that for you to get that issue. Otherwise, 72 DPI is absolutely perfect. And yes, you can export for web. I'm going to actually, next week, part of your assignment will be to export your assets from Photoshop. And as long as you've done your mock-up in Photoshop, it's going to be very, very, very easy for you to get your assets out and to make sure they're all web ready. Okay, so now we have, that's the mock-up, guys. Simply save it. Close it and then zip it and submit it. That's it for the assignment. So now let's take a look at the assignment. I mean, that's it for the assessment. I'm sorry. That's it for the assessment. Let's take a look at the assignment. Your assignment is to mock up. So you're going to make your artboard in Photoshop the same size that you made your artboard in Muse. So 1024. You're going to include actual headline text, but you can use filler text for your bio or any paragraphs that you will be writing to include on the website. If you have already created your own logo for yourself as a designer, use it. If not, putting together a nice typographical word mark of your name will be fine until you create your personal logo and logo identity. And then you can just go in and replace it. So don't spend a whole lot of time trying to come up with a logo. That's not as important as your overall design. That's where I want you to be spending your time. Make sure your header, footer, and navigation are in the exact same place for each page, as that will be how it should work on the website when navigating from page to page. Showing rollover states on buttons can be shown on some of the pages as examples. When designing how your slideshow will look, check out some of the tutorials on Lynda and Adobe on the different types of widgets available in Muse and how to customize them. These tutorials can be found on the course media page under week 3. You will be graded on following directions, originality, creativity, user usability, and uniqueness to your style. Export your design into a multi-page PDF of the design of your homepage, about, bio, portfolio, and subpages, if required, and contact page with the form. Name your multi-page PDF GS 241, assignment 2, your last name. Pretty simple. So let's hop over and look at Photoshop. You're going to create new. And it's going to be web design. Make sure you click web up here and look right there, 1024 by 768. All you have to do is click it and choose create. So let's start your first page. And this is where you're going to do your first master. So my first master, there was going to be an image in the background. So let's pause for a second because I want to show you guys some of the different things that you can do. Let's go in here. If you Google Adobe Muse widgets, you are going to pull up a ton of stuff. The two best places to look that have free widgets are musewidgets.com and musefree.com. I will post the links to these two websites in the announcements as soon as the lecture is over so you can access them easily. Let's take a look at MuseFree. Some of the different things that you can do. If you click on one of these widgets, like the scroll icon animation, and you scroll down, there is a view demo on every single one of these. So if you click that view demo, you can see what that widget does. And it gives you a little mouse that jumps back and forth. It basically tells them they need to scroll. So if you have something huge on your landing page, but have some more information at the bottom, you want to make sure they realize is there, you could use a little animation like that. Random text, your background points. These are the ones I wanted to show you. View demo. You can add stuff like this that adds a little bit of interactivity in the background of your website. And all it does is it kind of follows the cursor. It just adds some interest, that little bit of pop, depending on your design. They also have one that's called Deep Blue Waves. And it will create a little bit of animation in your background. And there is a video on how you need to use it on every single one of these. So it will tell you how you can adjust it and customize it and that sort of thing. Yeah. And so you're going to have all kinds of cool effects going on with this kind of stuff. It just kind of adds some interest. And guess what? You can choose colors. Most of these are extremely customizable. So there are all kinds of widgets for you guys to go through and look at. The jumping letters. You want to add a little bit of animation to some of your headlines. It draws attention, doesn't it? But it's not distracting. You can still read it. There are all kinds of animation widgets. That just add that little attention-getting extra that you might need. With this kind of stuff, even the simplest design can turn into something that's like, wow, that looks really good. because you've added that little bit of interactivity that draws attention, that the user can interact with and say, oh, that's cool. Things like that. So keep those things in mind. Research these widgets before you start doing your mock-up, because it will help you come up with ideas that are like, oh, wow, that looks really cool. You can create your own background and animate it. So there's all sorts of widgets in here. There's like 5 or 10 pages. I can't remember which one it is in here that you can use on your websites to just add that extra bounce. So be sure you go through these widgets, look at them, find out what you think is really cool, and decide how you want to incorporate that into your website. Now then, the musewidgets.com is full of all kinds of widgets. I choose all items. It's all full of Muse widgets, but some of them cost. If you come over here to this little filter, and click the drop down, just choose free. It will pull up the free widgets and you can look through them. If you want to deactivate, right click so that people cannot right click on your images and steal them. There's plenty. I would not suggest this one because it gives you a nice little, I mean, you can, but what happens is when somebody tries to right click on it, it gives them this pop-up that says nice try, but this feature has been deactivated. There is another widget for that. It is this one. It's the disable right click. It looks like this icon, and it does the exact same thing without giving them the message. They simply don't get a drop down. That way they can't right click on your stuff and save it to their computer and reuse it. Yes, they can still take a screenshot of it, but as we all know, screenshots really aren't the best quality. But it kind of helps protect your stuff a little bit. There is the scroll progress bar widget. If you have a website that's going to have a lot of stuff on it, you can see the little scroll bar here. You can help your users by letting them know exactly how far down the website they are, so they know when they're getting close to the end and when they're not, that sort of thing. And I picked out some of the best ones that I've used that I know work really well. The scroll to top. If you're doing a cascading website that is all going to be on one page, you're going to definitely need a scroll to top button. Obviously, it appears when you get to the bottom of the page or wherever you place that button. So you could place this button at every single one of your breaks where a different page starts, so that the user just had to click it to get back up to the top. There is the blinds image slideshow. So if you have some sort of design that's like a pattern, most of you probably had taken the Illustrator class where you had to develop a pattern. You might want to display that on like your about page or your contact page or somewhere that just needs some filler. Doing it in a slideshow that's like this just adds a little more interest. Since it's just a pattern or something like that, this makes it a little more interesting. And then there's the auto gear. If you want to place the year on your website in the header or the footer, you can do that. And it will do things like add little symbols and things like that. Their demo is not very good. Let's see, it's got to be on here somewhere. It will add little things like in July, it shows fireworks. In November, it shows fall leaves. In December, it's snow, Christmas related type stuff, that sort of thing. So it changes with the months. And then you have your scroll reveal. This is a really cool widget. You've seen this on plenty of websites because it's really popular right now, where you have something on the page, but the minute the user scrolls, that page changes. So this is good to use for like a landing page with just a picture or just your logo and your tagline. And then when the user moves their mouse, it automatically transforms to your actual homepage. So this is a really cool widget to use. And then this is more animation. You can make things do all sorts of stuff with this little plugin. The rest of these are animated too. This is the hamburger widget for when you're making cell phone size and you need that little bitty hamburger widget so that when you click it, so it looks like this. When you click it, your navigation drops down like that. Otherwise, it's hidden. And this shows you all the different customizations that you can do, the little animations you can put on the hamburger widget. Just to add a little bit of interaction kind of thing. And then you have the hover scale rotate widget. We've all seen this on websites where you roll over something and it gets just a little bit bigger. That's what this widget does. It also has a very interesting roll over it and it spins. This is great for icons. And then you have the hover shake. You can do that in your navigation bar so that your words shake a little bit when they get rolled over to show they're active. Or if you just want to make a little bit of interactivity on a graphic on the home page or something like that, so when the user rolls over it, it moves a little bit. Just things like that you can do that just add that little extra interaction. And if you get the user involved with playing on your website, they're more likely to continue to explore it, right? Which means, guys, if you're going to add something like this to your home page, make sure your other pages have something a little extra on that page as well. So you want to kind of carry out, if you're going to use interaction, make sure you carry that out throughout your website. That doesn't mean that every single thing on your website should be interactive. Absolutely not. That will be distracting. But having those little extras throughout your website, it just makes the user enjoy their experience even more. So explore these widgets, guys, because there are tons more than what I've just shown you. I want the demo. Oh, there it is. And this kind of adds like a constellation background. You can put this on a solid color background. It's kind of like the other widget I showed you with the connecting lines. This one's just a little bit different. There is all sorts of widgets that are free. And there are page after page, 6 pages full. And you can just keep going. There's pretty much everything you can think of. So explore these 2 websites. Again, you can look at things and, oops, I missed one. That's pretty cool. You can click on them and preview the widget and see exactly what it does. Yes, I would like to stop seeing that ad. And this one is not loading. You may find a website like that. If you do, there's probably another link to it somewhere in here. So squared, you've got your Facebook, your page flip widget. There it is. And there's a preview on all of these. So you could do an interesting slideshow on your portfolio page like that. And it usually will tell you how to use it. Okay, William, what's your question?
Yeah, my idea on my, because I'm going to have the child pages under my portfolio page. I want to have buttons with like a sample picture thumbnail out of one of the, each category. And then if you click on it, you go to the child page. But I have seen where if you, it's like a mouse over where you put your mouse on the image.
Yes. You're talking about something like this that has a picture that's an actual button. So they click on it, it goes somewhere else.
But if you just scroll your mouse over it, it comes up with like a description. It kind of fades out the image a little bit. It comes up with a description. Is that done in Photoshop or is that a widget?
Okay, you want your image there, but when they roll over it, you want it to show text.
Yeah, it kind of grays out the photo the photo just a little bit, and then it comes up with text.
Right, there is a rollover widget for that. And that's what you would put the text on. You would put the image there. And then you would take this widget and you would lay it on top of that image. So when they rolled over the image, this text would pop up. Yes, there is a widget for that.
Okay, because I know there's some things you can do with rollover buttons in Photoshop too. I just wasn't sure if you could do that with Photoshop or not.
No, not in Bring It Into Muse.
Because I know you can make rollover buttons in Photoshop and bring them into Muse.
Right, you would make the picture that's going to be the button. And then you would find either like a hover animation that you could use. Not this one. There is a rollover image widget that will do exactly what you're looking for. You may have to flip through here until you find it, or like this. Is this one free? Oh, look there, it's free. That will do things like this, so you could make it transparent until they rolled over it. And then it would appear. Let's see if there's another one. That's basically what you're looking for, something like that, right?
Yeah, that looks about it.
This one is not free, but odds are there's one very similar to it that is free. Or you could get something that did something like that. Let's see. Is this one free?
It looks like you have to be a member.
Yeah. There's some new sources. Fading rollover. That's this one. This one is free, but I think it will basically do the exact same thing that the other ones did. You just have to set it to do that. So you might download it and play with it and see if that works. You can also create your own effect. I still need to open, yes. Let me open this. And let's go to my home page. Let's say I want to make this. Let's here. This, group it. Now with a group, let me do the states. I hope it won't let me do it as a, if it's grouped, it won't let you do the states anymore. So I have to ungroup it, delete that box. I'm gonna make my text box that big. Fill it with gray. Put the cursor in here. Now I can do states. So I could come over here to my states and say, normal, I want you to be transparent. And click on normal again and go to rollover. Whoops. Rollover. And I want you to be solid. And mouse down, solid. And there's no active because it's going to take them somewhere else. So I don't have to worry about the active. Over. Okay. So if I preview this now, that's what would happen. So I rolled over it or clicked on it, it would be solid. That's kind of what you're looking for, right?
Yeah, basically.
You don't have to have a widget to do that. You can find them. Again, I just spend some time going through the Google search and looking at them. If you want to add a little bit more animation, and you can add a little bit of transition to it by simply in the states box, check marking fade, and maybe you want to slow it down a little bit. Let's delay it by 0.3 seconds. Duration, let's make it take 0.5 seconds. We're going to ease in and out. I'll click on preview. And so you get a little bit more. See how that works? Now it just doesn't pop up there, it kind of fades in and out. Just to add that little bit of interaction. So you can do that straight from use without any widget. So just spend some time, guys, going through these widgets before you start mocking up so you can figure out how to incorporate some of this stuff in your website to really make it go, wow, this is cool. Because that's what you want your website to do. You want people to look at your website and go, oh, wow, this is good. Because that gets attention. They're more likely to hire you if they really like your website. It's just the way it works, because if they like your website, then that means you're awesome. Those little extra touches to the general population, they think that stuff is cool. Now, for those of us that do graphic design, web design all the time, it's kind of like, yeah, whatever, because we see it all the time. We do it all the time. It's not anything just remarkable to us, but the people looking at your website, most likely even your employers, because a lot of you will be interviewing at printing companies and marketing companies and things like that. So the person that's interviewing you may not really have the experience in graphic design, and hence the reason they're hiring a graphic designer. So they may not be used to seeing this sort of stuff, or still in that frame of mind of, oh, this is cool, because they don't do web design. They don't do animation. So seeing those little touches, they're like, oh, this is good. She's a good graphic designer. He's a great graphic designer. And they're more likely to hire you. So spend some time going through this stuff before you start your mock-up. Because then when you're mocking up your website, you can say, oh, I can use this widget here, and make a little note on a piece of paper. Make a little note on your mock-up that you're going to use the such and such widget here. It will make your life so much easier next week when you have to move everything from your mock-up into your Muse website, to remember exactly what you need to download and exactly what you need to apply to this and that.
Even if it is a web designer that is looking at your website, they will consider the fact that you took the time to do little things like that to make it look better. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes. Absolutely. So let's go back to talking about our layer comps. So guys, this is how it works. I'm going to do the layer comp for my home page, which would have been my master A. I take my rectangle tool. My navigation bar was across the top, and it was a little thick. And I'm going to be actually making that navigation bar not exactly a solid black, more like a dark charcoal. And it's going to be down here like that. And I'm going to have an animated background. So I can't really show that right here. So what I'm going to do is kind of make a little design. I'm going to use those waves. And they're going to be the colors of my logo. So I'm just going to kind of try and create a little bit of that wave that was going on there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. Here.
What if we use like a real, or if we're going to use like a real complicated one? Because I really like that one with the dots, and then you scrolled over it and made the lines. You know what I mean?
Right. If it's something really complicated like that, guys, just make me a solid color in the background, turn it a light gray shade, and make sure you put in the comments when you submit it that that's going to be an animated background widget, and you're good to go.
Could we put that right on the design or no?
Yeah.
Right on, right
Somewhere
on
on
the
the,
artboard?
yeah, you could put it somewhere on the side so it's out of the way, so it doesn't interfere with anything else on the page, and just put animated background widget.
Would something off to the side show up on a PDF though?
Say that again.
Would something that's off the page show up on the PDF?
Not off the page, just put it really close to the edge so it doesn't interfere with your other stuff.
Okay.
So then I'm going to have text here that basically says, welcome to my portfolio. And make sure you're using website font. It'll make your life so much easier if you go ahead and pick your font and make sure it's web safe this week. If you want to use a descriptive font, something that's not normal, make sure you get it from Typekit, because then you can use it inside Muse with no problems. And then, of course, you're going to add your logo. Finish setting up this page. Let's This is where I would technically end this master page, because my logo would be on top of that animation. So I need to add my footer. And my copyright statement. I just want a regular website font for this, something like Arial. Does anybody remember what the shortcut is for the copyright symbol? I can never remember, and I use it all the time. When I'm thinking about it, it's like, it's Command Shift G. Is that right? Nope, that's not right. Let's find out. I can never remember it when I need to. Coding, it just happens.
I just cheat and go to glyphs and copyright.
Yeah. When I'm not thinking about it, it's Option G, not Command Shift G. Option G. Okay, let's try this again. Option G. There we are. And 2018. I'm going to go ahead and make this 2018 instead of 2017, since we are almost at the end of the year. And definitely needs to be small. Your copyright should not draw attention. And I'm going to place it down here at the bottom. And then my social media icons. Now then, I already have some social media icons downloaded, but if you guys will open up your Creative Cloud and click on the little tab that says stock. No, that says assets. I'm sorry. The one that says assets. Let me drag my, come back here. Come on. I separated. Where'd you go? There it is. Okay. If you will click on assets and click on the little search icon, a little search bar will open, and you can do social media icons. Maybe. Apparently I have an update. There it is. Do social media icons, hit your enter key. It will pull up all kinds of social media icons that you can use for your website. Or you can create your own, of course, but if you want to save some time, then you can just do a search. If you want a specific icon, like for Facebook, you can just type in Facebook or Facebook icon. Either one will bring up the Facebook icons. And you can choose the one you like. Make sure the icon you use fits the overall design of your website, guys. That is very important. Make sure it fits the website. Now, I already have social media icons downloaded. And I am going to be adding my LinkedIn. Just grab it, drag it out here. And I'm going to be, yes, accept that. I'm going to use my Behance icon. I'm going to drag it out of here. It's little bitty. And do I have a white Facebook? I don't have my YouTube. I'll use my YouTube. And there's my YouTube. Those two are the same size, so I need to make my LinkedIn icon match. Still too big. That's better. Now they're all still too big. I'm just going to select them all and then scale them all at the same time. So I can try and get them the same size. This one's still a little too big. That's better. And then I'm just going to pull them down here to the bottom. Line them up where they should be. Oops. And I'm going to select them all one more time. And align them. It's still not quite spaced out enough. There we go. That's better. So there are my social media icons. So that is my Master A page. What I'm going to do is click on my first layer, scroll down, hold my Shift key down, click on that very bottom layer. And then click on my folder icon. You see, it put it all in a group. And I'm going to call this Master A. And hit my Enter key. And then I'm going to make a new layer because this is where I'm going to add the finishing touches of my home page. So once again, to go into my library, grab that's not the logo. Grab my logo. Add it in here. You can add effects to it if you need to, like drop shadow, that sort of thing. I don't think I want to draw the shadow. Cancel because I'm going to really make sure that these are kind of below my logo so that it's more, I might even have it overlap my buttons a little bit. We'll see. For now, I'm going to leave it down there. And I'm going to have that text box. I'm going to have my tagline here. Yeah, I will check it. And then I'm going to choose a font for it. Definitely won't be that font. Zero. I'm going to kind of manipulate this font just a little bit. Decide whether or not I like it. Don't think I do. That's not too bad. Oops. I'm definitely going to want to make this stand out just a little bit. Like that. And you can add drop shadows and things like that inside Muse. So go ahead and put them in there, but don't think you have to save that text as an image in order to get the drop shadow. You don't. You'll be able to do all your text in Muse and add any drop shadows or anything like that. Be sure you check your spelling. Oops. And then I forgot on my navigation bar, which is to put my buttons. So I need to go back and do that. And again, this is going to be a simple font. I'll probably use something like this. Home. Portfolio. Oh, let me do the different. And contact. Once you put it in a folder, if you have to move something around, guys, you have to use your arrow keys because that folder kind of groups everything together. So if you have to go back and add something and you need to move it from where you made it, you have to use your arrow keys to kind of bump it around there. I think you can still grab the selection tool, your other arrow, and it might allow you to move it. Let's see if it still works. Nope. It does not. Direct select. Nope, that one won't work either. So you have to use your arrow keys. So now we have a home, portfolio, about, and a contact. So that's my master page. I'm going to select those layers that are just my home page, the content area. And again, I'm going to make a folder. And I'm going to call that folder home. Now then, I'm going to go up to the top and go to Windows and go down and click on Layer Comps. In my Layer Comp panel, I'm going to hit the new layer icon and I'm going to call it Homepage. And make sure visibility, position, appearance are checked. I'm going to hit OK. Oh, there is the layer comp for my home page. So now it's time for the next page. I'm going to go to my regular layers panel, hit the new layer, and I know that I need to turn everything off because I have to make a new master. There are some things that I don't want to copy anything from this A master. Yes, I want to copy some of this stuff at the bottom. So I'm going to grab this. And go down to my masters and I'm going to select these. And I should have a black bar across the bottom. Here, I think, no. There. Select that and I'm gonna go to edit, copy, go back up to my layer and turn that off. Go to edit. Paste in place and paste it right there. My footer is done for me. So I need to bring out my logo again. And I'm going to put it over here. And I need to make my navigation bar again. Home. Change my color real quick. Wrong font. Home. Portfolio. About. Contacts. And definitely don't need to be that big. And I'm going to put it over here to the side. This will technically be a little more spaced out. To kind of take up some of that room there. These will probably be spaced further apart. For now, I'm going to leave them like that. I don't want to get them too far. Oops. I don't want to get them too far apart. That's better. And this is going to be, this is the master page. This is everything that's going to be on every single page other than the home page. So once again, I'm going to select all those layers, make a folder. This is going to be master B and new layer. So the first page we're working on is that portfolio. So I need to bring in my images. Now then, here's where it's going to get kind of tricky. Because if you're using one of the widgets like that instant zoom, your images need to be bigger. Thanks, William. Your images are going to need to be bigger than what you show on your mock-up. So that makes it a little bit more difficult because things can get very confusing. So I want to make you guys a deal. I don't want you to have to go through all the extra work and trying to export your images and then trying to go back in and delete the ones you don't need and replace them with the size you need. So here's the deal. If you are using one of those widgets, like the slideshow widget or the instant zoom widget, what you can do is simply grab your shape tool and draw out where things are going to be. Okay? And then I know next to this one, I'm going to have a text box. And you can use filler text. It's going to be regular and it's going to be 12 point. And it's going to be in here. And you can do it just like this. This one's going to be a little bit wider. That, and then I'm going to have, I don't know what quote I'm going to use down here yet. So I am going to do the same thing. I'm going to paste some fill text and then of course give it a nice font that's web safe. And I'm going to make it bigger. And it's just going to go down there at the bottom. And now I'm looking at this, and my wireframe doesn't show any kind of break across here, but looking at it, I'm thinking I need some sort of break across there. I just not really liking how that looks visually. So I'm just going to create one. It's a little too dark for my liking, so I'm going to grab my line tool again. It's a little better, but I still don't like the color. That's better. I think it's still a little too thick. That's better. I like that better. Just to kind of add that little break there. Ah, yes. Well, that's not something you ever get over, will you? It happens all the time. It's just you click on the wrong thing and didn't click in the right place on the right thing. And so therefore you grab the wrong thing. Yeah, it happens all the time. Sometimes me and Photoshop have to have words because sometimes it's just really stubborn about clicking on the right thing. So then guys, just look it over, make sure things are aligned, make sure it looks good. But again, if you're going to use a widgets on your portfolio page, you can use just little boxes. Just label one of the boxes and tell me this is going to be a slideshow, it's going to be the Zoom widget, whatever. In this case, this is going to be the Zoom widget. And all you have to do is label one of them, and then I'll know, as long as that's what the rest of the boxes are on the page, I'll know that's what it means. So then once I finish this page, once again, I am going to select everything. That's the content area. Grab that folder icon, rename this portfolio, and open that layers comps again, and hit my new layer icon and name it portfolio page, and hit OK. What makes it so handy is now I can click on my home page, that little square next to it, it automatically opens the layers that are supposed to be on the home page. On the portfolio page, it automatically changes to the portfolio page. Now then, I need to do my next page. I can simply turn off the portfolio folder, leave on the master B, make a new layer, and start my about page. Now my about page is going to have an animated background, and it's going to have a square like this, and it's going to be filled with white, and it's going to have a drop shadow. That. And so I'm going to add a little side note here down at the bottom, little beauty. It says animated background. I want to make sure it does not distract from my design. So I'm just going to rotate it a little bit and just move it over here to the edge like that. And then grab my type tool and have my bio. 12. That's not quite enough. So let's try this again. There we go. And then I'm going to have another little graphic of some sort down there. I use this. Whoops. Try that again. So I'm going to put this little graphic down here below my portfolio, my bio. And there's my bio page. So once again, I'm going to select all the layers that are the content area, that main content, and hit the folder icon and call it about. Oops. Call it about. Open my layer comps. Hit that new layer icon. About page. And now I have my about page. So we've got home, portfolio, about. And I didn't have to remake any of my header or footer because it's there thanks to these layer comps. That's what makes it so much easier, because you don't have to redo that. Make sure you get it in the exact same place every single time, because as your directions stated, everything needs to be in the exact same position and not different from page to page. This is how the layer comps help you. So once again, I'm going to turn off that about page, that about layer on my regular layers panel, so you can't see it on my artboard. Grab the new layer icon, and now it's time for the contact form. So again, instead of spending so much time trying to create that contact form, because it's you're going to be using a widget for it, you can just draw me a box where that contact form is going to be. And then just, again, just label it. Just put contact form there so there's not any question on, whoops. So there's not any question on what that is when I look at it. And then you're just going to add your phone number, your service area, that sort of thing. So here, phone number, and underneath that, yeah, no, I want to make it bigger. And then I usually do my service area. It's good for SEO. And then I am going to be using the Google map on my page. So if you're going to do something like that, there's a widget for Google Maps, and I am going to be using it on my contact page. So once again, you can just draw that box and then just label it. Google Maps. And just label it. So then you have your contact page. I'm a little uneven here. This and this. Somewhere right in there. Need to come over. So again, select everything that has to do with that content area. Folder. Contact. And then your layer comps. New layer. Contact page. And hit OK. And then once you're done, flip through them. So now let's say I've gone to my about page. Now I figure out there's something I need to change. Maybe I've decided I want to take my graphic, and I want to, instead of putting it directly in the center, I want to off center it just a little bit. So I push it where I want to. Well, I have to refresh my layer comp. So what I would do is go over to my layer comp panel, make sure I have home page selected, and then at the bottom, there is a refresh icon. That's when you hover over it, it says update layer. I'm just going to refresh it. There we go. So now I go to contact, about, portfolio, home. Looks good. So now we need to export it. If you go to file, go down to export, you can do layer comps to PDF. Just choose it. Active document has not been saved, please save it. So definitely have to save it first. File, save as. Save as is so slow in Photoshop. Okay, so I need to save it. We're gonna go to my desktop. I didn't make a DS241 folder, did I? I made a website folder, but not a DS241 folder. And DS241. Assignment 2. Last name. Save. Okay. And then file. Export. Layer comps to PDF. And it's going to say, okay, selected layer comps only. Make sure that is unchecked. This should not be checked. Saving in the right place, yes. Oh, we're going to hit run. And you're going to see your screen flash. It'll take it a minute. Just be patient with it. If you have issues exporting and you still have Muse open, first thing you need to do is close down Muse in Photoshop and open just Photoshop. Muse and Photoshop do not like each other very much. So if things are acting funny or being slow, it's probably because they're fighting. And one of them needs to be closed. Layer comps to PDF was successful. Okay. Well, then you can go in to your folder. And there's your PDF. Let's open it up. Come on. No, it will give you this message. You can just hit no. Otherwise, it'll fill up your entire screen. And then we have your layer comps. Oh, my Acrobat wants to be slow too. There we go. And then you have your pages. There's your home page. There is your portfolio page, your about, and my contact. And this is what you're going to submit. Now, I know based on my mock-up that my YouTube and my Behance icons are not faring very well. I'm going to have to replace those, which means I'm going to have to go back and find a new download for them. At some point, something happened to that file. It looks like it got a little corrupted or something. LinkedIn looks fine. I know I'm going to have to replace these two. So if I was a student doing this, you just have to go back to Photoshop, replace those and fix them. Or make sure you leave a note saying, I realize that Facebook icon, the social media icons are a little pixelated and blurry. I plan to replace those as soon as I find somewhere to download. I'll accept that as long as you've shown me you know exactly what's wrong with that file. Because you guys are going to be spending a lot of time designing. So once you've exported this and really get to look at it up close, you may notice some little things and don't actually have time to fix them because you're pushing the deadline. Make note of it in the comments and tell me, I know this is wrong. I'm fixing it. And we're good to go. If you guys can point it out to me, I'm not going to deduct points off of it because I know you know. Does that make sense? Any questions?
Humbug, I'm tired of typing. I have a question, but it's about my personal website. So if you want to end the recording before we talk about that, you can.
Yes, I sure will. All right, guys. If you need me, email me, text message me, fastest ways to contact me, and let me know you're needing help so that we can get together so that this class is at least a little bit of fun. It should be fun. I will see you guys next week